Barbara, let me ask you this. And teachers have a hard job. It is a very important job. I don't know of any teachers that I would say are overpaid. However, school district budgets are out of control. And I seem to see, from my point of view as a tax-paying citizen, that there's a lot of money spent at the top, that we're top heavy, that a lot of money goes into administrative costs, that I really think that, and I know superintendents, for example, they're not part of the NJEA, if I'm not mistaken, but, I see a lot of money wasted at the top and not enough spent at the bottom, that there's an imbalance there. Would your organization, or would you agree with that we should be looking more at the top and not at the bottom to make these make up the budget shortfalls?
Well, I think by and large all of our school employees earn every penny that they get. And when you talk about being at the top, you're talking about lifetime career positions. You're talking about some people, whether they're at the top of the guide of their teaching salary, or of their school employee salary, or of their administrator's salary guide. You're talking about people who perhaps have worked in the school systems for 25 and 30 years. So naturally, their salaries are based upon a lifetime achievement. So I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay. So you don't think that we're top heavy? I won't mention the district, but there's one district in Bergen County that I read a profile about the school system. There's less than 1,000 students. There's one school in the district. They have 38 teachers, a 15-to-1 student-teacher ratio, and the teachers had a median salary of, something like $50-something thousand. There's 38 teachers, and there were 68 administrators that had a median salary. Oh, I'm sorry. The median salary for the teachers was $68,000, and there were 68 administrators that had a median salary in the $80,000 range. You have 1,000 students, a 15-to-1 student-teacher ratio, and you have 68 administrators in this one little district. First of all, I would contend that a district with one building doesn't need a superintendent who's making six figures, that there should be consolidation at that level. You've got a lot of districts where you've got a superintendent for just one school. Why not consolidate, save hundreds of thousands of dollars? Also, 15-to-1 student-teacher ratio is marvelous if you can support that, but there's nothing wrong with having a 22-to-1 student ratio.
Well, first of all, the use of student ratios, when you read those figures, you have to be very careful, because student-to-teacher ratios are usually determined by including additional personnel that work with students, like a guidance counselor, for example, or a substance abuse counselor, or it's not that there's one teacher for that number of students. So you have to be very careful when you read about student-teacher ratios. But again, in that particular district, and I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but the local townspeople there have decided by adopting their school budgets that is what they want for their particular town. That is what they want for their school district. You're talking about home rule here. If a particular district chooses to spend that amount of money on its school system, last time I checked, this is America, don't they have the right to spend their own money in terms of what they want for their children in their school system?
Given the fact that, the governor is talking about having a proactive approach to cutting the budget, are there any cost-cutting moves that you could suggest within the system, in the educational system? Are there any cost-saving moves you could suggest? If you had the governor's ear, are there any that you would suggest?
Well, if I had the governor's ear ever, my recommendation would be to reinstitute the tax on the people making the very, very high salaries, the incomes of $400,000 and more. I would have to analyze budgets in order to determine where amounts could be cut, because every school budget is different. But
nothing comes to mind. In other words, there's not one. I understand each district is different. I understand that, but there's not one thing you say, well, we could certainly do this as a general overall rule. There's not.
Not from our perspective, no, since every local budget is really determined based upon what the local district sees as its own needs for its school children.
You said earlier there are janitors getting fired, there are cafeteria workers getting fired?
Yes, our maintenance people, secretaries, teachers. We're hearing about large numbers of teacher layoffs, and naturally the support staff is usually the first place where, if a budget is going to be cut, where you begin to see the cuts take place. But we're now seeing it go all the way up the line.
I'm not saying that the people in the upper echelons of administration don't work. But what I'm saying is that the emails I get are a janitor can get fired and a top administrator makes 4 times, 5 times that amount. If it's about saving money, why is the lower echelon salary getting kiboshed and not the no administrators? It's almost like a hands-off thing.
I guess because the determination is that the administrative position in that particular district is something that's needed for the school to progress successfly, as opposed to I can't give you the rationale other than when they look to cut, they just know that they've got to end up with a balanced budget, and they can't be spending money that they don't have. So they look at this and they say, well, I guess maybe we can cut this lower level position because we need the teachers and we need the administrators in order to successfully run the school district. It's not the right way to do things, but again, when a Board of Education and the administration look at what they're going to do with the budget, they are looking at that through the eyes of how can we keep this school district progressing successfully. How can we make this school district successful so that we can keep New Jersey as being at the top of the nation in terms of what it does for providing education for its children?
Barbara Keshishian, Vice President of the New Jersey Education Association. President, excuse me. God, you turn your head for a second, you move up in the world. Thank you very much for your time and your devotion to our students, and we hope to talk to you again.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you so much for having me on anytime.